Hey, change makers and visionaries. This is Reimagining Community, where we dive deep into the stories of leaders who are reshaping the world, one community at a time. I'm your host, Garland Fuller, and every episode is a radical act of connection. We're not just talking about change, we're breaking down how real people are creating it right here, right now. This podcast is more than conversations. It's a bridge where we are sharing stories that offer insight and inspiration. Whether you're an entrepreneur, consultant, volunteer, artist, or an organizational leader, this is your space to listen and learn. This is your call to create impact in the communities you hold dear and that hold you up. Let's reimagine what's possible together. Hello, everyone. We're doing a trio today. This is exciting. I was thinking when I do my word of the year, and I've talked to both of you about word of the year, what I wanted to think about. And so I was like, I should have both Marissa and Allison on so we can kiki about this, because I think New Year, so much to so many people. I think over the years, I've learned what works for me and what doesn't. And so I wanted to have this as an opportunity to create community with you too, because you have been, I think, just my peeps when things are happening and when I'm like, what am I doing? Or, oh my God, this is crazy. You're my folks that I call. So I wanted to get us together so we could do this and talk about just all things New Year, also just rituals that we've been doing, things that we've been thinking about. So I just want to introduce you both. Of course, everyone knows Marissa by now. She's my systems maven, my go-to podcast producer I love so much. Say hi, Marissa.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Garland. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And then Allison Weiss, we've been through too much. Allison Weiss is I'd say, like when we think about recruiting stuff, when we think about work stuff, when we think about how people are impacted with so much that's happening in the world, we're gabbing about that all the time. By day, she's known as CRE Recruiting. By night, we're listening to podcasts and talking about the Gilded Age. So happy to have you here, Allison.
Thank you. It's great to be here. And it is really cold where I am, hence the hat. And so I had to relocate and choose a new location to record today because my pipes are frozen. So if you see folks walking by, it's because I'm out in the world.
That's wonderful. Okay, ladies. So let's talk about New Year. I know that it can be filled with so much like possibility and excitement, and we've got things we want to do, but then also there's all this sometimes pressure or feeling like, okay, what I have to make the most out of this time, set a goal, set a plan, set an intention. What are your thoughts on, I'd say, your New Year? And if we're doing this by words, this is a word of the year ritual that I've been doing for, gosh, at least 5 years now, because resolutions feel so overwhelming. They also just, for me, they feel we have to do it this way because that's what everyone else calls it. And I don't subscribe to that. What are your words that you're thinking about for yourself this year? And what are things that you want to bring into this year with that word?
Okay, I'll go first. So when I think about the beginning of the year, I get excited because my birthday's in January. So selfishly, I'm like, ooh, exciting. It's the time. But I also feel like a new year multiple times throughout the year. So I'll feel a new year around here. I'll feel a new year around spring. And then I still have ingrained in me the back to school year start type of vibes. But when I come to the start of the year, I may be breaking the rules, Garland. I may be breaking them. I have words of the year. I don't have just one. I have three, mainly because I want them to carry me through the year one of the words that I picked was anchor, because I just think it's going to be really important for
Hmm.
me to be grounded in this year with 2025 and everything that's going on. We've already seen so much moving fast, and we're just at the
Yeah.
beginning of the year. So I want to make sure that I'm anchored in myself and anchored to what's important to me and anchored to the people that are important around me. Then I want to take that anchoring and integrate it. So I chose weave as a second word.
Hmm.
So weaving that into my everyday, weaving that into how I show up, what I do. And then my third word is elevate. So just taking a little bit of a step up in everything that I do. We'll see how this goes throughout the year. I'm trying to, when I think about like tasks or I think about times in the day, I use the Finch app. Are you guys familiar with the Finch app? This is not a
Yeah.
paid this is not a paid ad. This is not a paid
I'm writing it down.
but basically on the Finch app you create this little bird that you check in with every day, and you can check in on your habits, and like you can create your own habits, write your own habits, and things like that. So I'm putting time in grounding time, make sure that I'm grounding or reflecting so that I'm integrating into it. So I'm trying to weave these three words into my day to day, and it's only the start of the year. So far, so good. Garland, maybe we should check in at the end of the year, see how we end up doing. But that's my words of the year for 2025.
I love that. I I I don't know, Garland, I got this word of the year thing from you a few years ago, and I'm a little superstitious. And what I mean by that is one year I think I chose growth, and I think that was the year where everything was thrown at me. It's like I need to be very careful with the word that I choose, because if I say something, the universe is going to give it to me, but it might look different than what I want it to look like. And so the two words that I've been thinking about a lot, um, I've been thinking a lot about impact. A lot of what, a lot of the work that I've done over the last, let's call it 5 to 10 years, has been more individual, one to one or one to small group. And I think as we grow in our careers and as time gets more scarce and as we think about our future and our legacy and the things that we're trying to leave behind, for me, I'm just really focused on amplifying my impact and really doing more to serve a larger group of people, larger communities of people. And there's some projects that I'm working on that really align with that word impact. So that's one that I really love. I also like this idea of transformation. I have a hat with a butterfly on it that I wear a lot. And I think about this, period that we go through whenever we're changing our identities, changing our skins, changing our focus. And there's this idea that you get on a career path and you just stick with that career path and things are pretty linear. My experience has been very different in that it's meanders. It's a little bit more like a river. And you go through these phases of cocooning and, going inward to figure out what's the next thing. And I think I've gone through some of this cocooning within the last year or so, maybe year and a half even. And so I think I'm at the point where I'm ready to transform. I am ready to reemerge. I'm at the butterfly stage. I'm no longer in the cocoon. And I'm missing what is actually the word for that. It's beyond transformation. It's um metamorphosis. So maybe that's even a better word. I'm glad we're talking about it because I haven't talked too much about this. And this is something I think that is good to show is that sometimes the first word that you get is not the word and you've got to ruminate on it and talk through it with people that you know. But I like both of those particular words. So whether it's impact and growing the reach and growing the message and serving more people, or whether it's that transformation or metamorphosis from who you are into who you're meant to be next. I'm in that stage for 2025 and I love a new year. I'm a March baby. So I feel a new year March 1st when my birthday is. And so I get a couple also seasonal New Year's like you too, Marissa. I love the back to school time. I love a bouquet of sharpened pencils. If you know that quote from that movie and you've got mails. Yeah, I just love a new year and I'm so happy we're having this conversation.
Yeah. Ooh, transformation and impact. Okay. I'm going with one word because I've been doing that. Release is my word this year because I feel like it's time to just let it go. Just go, just do it. Don't think too much about it. Also, releasing ideas that you may have about around what you should be doing, identity. You were talking about an identity that you maybe have had or that you have been in. And now that you're doing something else, it's just letting go of any, for me, it's letting go of whatever that was is not anymore it. This is what it is. And even with this, if you decide to change your mind on this, like it's okay. So I'm like about letting stuff go. I'm not going to think too much and too hard about it. I can tell you that Marissa and I working together, I've been like, we're just one step in front of the next, in front of the next. Don't try to plan too far out because you don't know what that time is even going to look like. I've been reading a lot more around like quantum leaps and things like that. And with quantum leaps, nothing ever looks like what you
Mhm.
think it's going to look like. And so it's also just releasing attachment to an outcome, like getting away from it has to look like this. Just keep showing up, just keep putting your stuff out there, keep doing it, and then see what happens. That's the energy I'm bringing in 2025. I feel like I was thinking too much in
Yeah.
2024, but I was also in experimentation mode last year. So I was also just trying things and trying to see what worked. But this year it's, you know what? Just trust the process, trust yourself, trust everything's going to be okay. Release it, let it go. Just do it. So that's where I'm at this year.
I love that you say that because when I hear the word release, I think about tension. And I don't know if you're the person, I have it in my jaw, I have it in my shoulders. And so this idea of just letting the muscles go.
Yeah, and I think it's
um,
a bit different than surrender, right? It's a different
yes.
energy.
Yeah. It's a letting go. I think when I hear surrender, and I thought about surrender, I don't know, surrender has also this, I think, this responsibility on something or someone else. And I think the release is I have to take responsibility for myself. Like, why are you overthinking this? Why are you going? Just release it. Just do it. Just because oftentimes I feel like for myself, it's my own just, okay, what's going to happen? What am I supposed to do now? Okay, I've not done this before. And I think it's giving yourself grace when you haven't done something before to just go through and learn as you go. And I think that's a big part of why I think community is so great is because when we can sit around and talk about these types of things, you're like, how do you hear this? Is that what you're thinking? Should I be doing change and transformation, metamorphosis? They're all in the same vein, but not really. And I think that's really awesome. So yeah, okay, we're gonna hold on to these words and then we're gonna come back and do an end of year, I think, to just be like, how did this really go?
I'm
And
already
just
releasing any expectations on that one.
yes, see how it really, if it went at all, and then we can go from there. But I know that there are practices that you all are doing this year. I know that I am taking one of the practices that Allison did last year, which is using the artist way as a means of starting journaling, getting a little more, I'd say, in tuned with what sparks creativity for you, being more intentional with how you use your creative energy, and just even thinking about creativity in general. Because I think for myself, I've been in environments where my creativity, I don't think has been really top of mind at all. And so this exercise for me is really, again, a release of your creativity. Just let it go, see what
Mhm.
happens. And so I have started that journey this week. Anyone else have any things that they do or going to do? Allison, would you like to speak on?
Sure. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. And I too am back on the artist way train with you. I found another book by Julia Cameron that I hadn't worked my way through yet. So I am back in that thought process, which I'm very excited about. But my biggest thing when I go through any transition, and it could be the new year, it could be I'm deciding where I want to travel, I'm deciding to end a relationship with a client, a friend, any kind of relationship, is 3 simple questions and very easy to remember. The questions are, what have I loved? What have I learned? And what do I need to leave behind? And left is pretty self explanatory. It's all the things that were working for you about a particular situation. So, all the things that you want to keep and preserve as you move forward into the next chapter. What have I learned is kind of a Venn diagram also with what have I loved, because these are the tools in your toolbox. These are the skills, the experiences, the projects, the things that you can take forward with you into the future that you didn't have maybe at the beginning of this particular experience. And I say it's a Venn diagram because there are skills that I have, for instance, Excel. I know how to do Excel. I do not want any part of Excel being a big factor in my future. So I don't list that in my toolkit because I don't want to attract more Excel into my life. I want that kind of, Marissa might like that. Maybe Marissa can do that. That's not for me. So what have I loved? What have I learned? The third question is usually where people spend the most time. And this is, what do I need to leave behind? So these are all the things that are no longer serving you. These are, it could be people, situations, conversations. It could be parts of your role if you're thinking about moving forward and entertaining new opportunities. And the idea here is that you take yourself out of your daily surroundings. You go somewhere unique. You go somewhere where you can focus. Maybe you put some headphones in, listen to some lo-fi music, get a cup of coffee or tea, and really make a date with yourself to go through these 3 questions and to write until there's nothing left to say, and also to write without judgment. I've had the experience before where I was writing in the leave behind and I wrote something down and I thought to myself, oh, isn't that petty of you to say? And then I thought, no, actually, if I feel the need to write it down, it's there for a reason. It's there to teach me something about what doesn't work for me in the future. And so the idea is that all of these 3 questions give us a really good filter for making future decisions. It allows us to, in the example of a job opportunity, it allows us to use that as the lens for considering, do you want to take a role or how you even want to show up in an interview, the questions that you want to ask. I think one of my experiences in the corporate world was like Groundhog's Day. I was recreating the same circumstances for myself. I was just changing jerseys or changing logos. And the more I thought about that, the more I realized it was because we're so focused on running away from things and we're not intentionally running towards the things that we want. And so this exercise is how I try to avoid that as much as possible. And it's something that I share with everyone. And I feel like it's simple yet profound and something that anybody can do. All you need is a piece of paper, 3 pieces of paper, and some time with yourself.
Oh, I like that. I love that. All right. Marissa.
Allison, I do love that practice. I do something similar. I do what worked and what didn't it's much more of a project based way of looking at it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the year, I'll look at what didn't work and decide, was that a good thing or not a good thing? And then, so it's like that thing, what you're doing, but just not on 3 separate pieces of paper. I analyze each one. That worked. Is it good that it worked? Did I learn something? Is it or do I not want that to happen again? Stuff like, I think it's important to reflect on those type of questions.
Always.
And I love applying it to like any transition. So thank you so much for sharing that. What do I do at the start of the year? I'm sitting in front of a bunch of journals that I have in front of me. Part of my New Year's process is picking out the right planner and making sure I have the right notebook. It's a very big part of starting the year, deciding what stickers are going to go on the cover, like all very important for this middle-aged woman who's speaking into a microphone. However, part of that is there are some specific sections in there that I to fill out. One is I try to get in tune with the astrological forecast for the year. I am like exploring with astrology. I think it's really interesting. I call it the cosmic weather. I'm like, what's the energy of the day? Like, how are we here? And can I pick up any patterns and seeing how it's reflected in my own life? So this year I actually have a dedicated journal that day by day I write down what the regular transits are, like for the global transits and the transits for myself. And then I'm like, okay, because it'll help me see what what those transit actually means, if I can look at things and be like, oh, there were 5 fires in California on this day. I wonder what astrologically was going on. Was there anything energetic to support those things or not? It's just more of a fun little place for me to be. I also make a bingo card for myself. One of the things
I love this.
in one of the planners that I have, there is like a very goal breakdown of I want to do this. So what can I do someday, 1 year, half year, quarterly, monthly, weekly? I can't, as Garland was talking about earlier, if I think too far ahead, I will not be seeing the next step that's in front of me where it could be the right step. I'll just be like, oh, I said this was the plan I was going to do. I must go on the plan. MapQuest says to turn right. I must turn right. I can't go any other way.
Yeah.
So I like to take that page, and because it has enough spots, my bingo card is actually a Marissa card because there's 7 columns that I can put my letters in. So I do one for every one of my letters in my name. And those are just like the big wishes, right? Like sometimes I think I can like plan very small and practical because I know what I can achieve, what I know what resources are available to me at the time of making that goal. But sometimes it's just fun to throw something out there. Oh, maybe I'll go roller skating this year. I don't know. We'll find out. Like something that I wasn't thinking of and trying to just put it down on paper and see what happens. And it's always fun at the end of the year because that's really, they always say with manifestation, write something down and then forget about it. And within that bingo card scenario is where I put that work.
Ooh.
And I have one more. Sorry. I have a lot of things. I write a letter to myself. So I'm like, hey Marissa, it's 2025. We did it. Like, we're here. What else did I say this year? We made it. I'm at a loss of what to say at the start of the year. Like, I don't really know what to say. And then I'm like, I'm sending you so much love because I'm speaking to the future me, right? Like, I'm sending you so much love and support from here. Thank you for guiding me to meet you in the future. Let's just have this partnership between the two of us to get us there. So those are all things that I fill out of my journal.
I love it. I love it.
I'm
I
obsessed.
love it. Yeah, I'm trying the bingo card this year too because there's something fun about the bingo card.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel like we're having a game here. It's a game. Let's see what happens. I'm also a vision board. I love a vision board, a collaged vision board, physical, like to arts and crafts. Okay.
Yep.
And I did one last year and it's still up. And I'm going to determine if I want to change anything or add anything on there because I still feel like everything on there is very like on brand still. Like it feels very relevant. But I also like Lunar New Year. I think coming off of Christmas and all the stuff that's happening at the end of December, New Year's just feels like it's just sneaking right up. It feels so much that I don't start like thinking about my year and doing stuff until mid-January lunar because it makes it not this rushed feeling. We're not doing this anymore. We're not doing this whole like, it's this date and you have to do it. And we don't have to do anything.
Is that a thing you're releasing, Garland?
I am. I'm letting it go. We are not doing right after Christmas. You need to be on New Year's mode. So I take my whole January to put myself together and do what I want to do and write stuff down because I think I've done the whole gotta go to the gym, gotta write the verse, I did that stressed out by February, guys. So I'm like, no, we're just going to ease our way into it. We're going to write, we're going to read, we have the whole year to accomplish and achieve. And honestly, sometimes you don't need to achieve and accomplish. Sometimes you just need to just be. Just pat yourself on the back for being here. So yeah. So I wanted to ask you all, what are the projects or the things that you want to manifest in this year? What are the things that you're thinking about putting in these bingo cards, writing in these love, leave, learn? What are the things?
I'll go. So I also realized too that we all have 7 letters in our names. So we can all use the Marissa bingo cards for our own names, which I'm very excited about because now I'm like, let's gamify 2025. Let's make it fun. So one of the things that came out, I would say maybe towards the Q4 of 2024, like October, I have always felt like women's representation in commercial real estate is not where it should be. And it's glaringly obvious. Like you walk into rooms and you might be the only or one of two. And the disparity between men and women, the disparity between people of color versus white people in our industry has always been something that really has bothered me. And one of my friends had been asked to speak at an event. It was a 1-day commercial real estate conference in Austin, Texas. And she was one of 14 speakers. And she was the only woman. And I did the math because I'm not great at it. I was like, that's a bad percentage. Like, let's see exactly how bad that is. And it was 7%. So 7% of the speakers at that conference were women. And I know in my bones that it is not a supply problem. I know because my network is full of very talented women, you know, of all shapes and colors and sizes and different experience levels and all of that. We do exist and we're out here. But the problem is that I think the people who are often in these positions to choose speakers and pick who gets the stage and the microphone are giving it to their friends and people that they feel comfortable with, the people that are in their closest circles. And we are tribal. We do tend to associate and affiliate with the people that we went to school with or go to church with or live in community with. And we don't necessarily shake that up very often. And I didn't have anything constructive to say about it at the time. I was angry. And so I thought, better not to post when you're angry on social media. And so the next morning when I was going to say something on LinkedIn, I was like, what do I want to say? And when I can't figure out what I want to say, I asked myself the question, what made me feel something recently? And I thought about my friend, Lee, and I said, you know what? This is bullshit. And the excuse that there aren't enough or we can't find them. I'm like, what would happen if we completely took that excuse away? And how can we do that? And so for me, that meant coming up with a speakers list where we could publicize and show all of the incredible diverse talent that we have within commercial real estate and specifically focus on giving women more opportunities to be on stage, to be speaking, to be in the media and to be seen. Because I do believe, and this is true from my own experience, when I was in corporate, I looked above me from a hierarchy standpoint and looked around and thought, I don't identify with anyone here. And how hard is it going to be for me to continue to climb that ladder if I don't even see anyone who has similar values or similar skill sets or whatever? I don't necessarily want to claw and scratch more than I had already clawed and scratched to get to my current position. And so that led to creating Women Speak CRE, and Marissa is helping me with it. She is fabulous. We've got a great designer, Tara Ashton, who is a friend of mine, and she's done incredible work on the logos. But we're about to launch on the 28th of January. Fingers crossed, all goes well with that. But the idea is really, again, there's so many of us. People don't always see our faces or hear our voices, but we're there. And so I want to do everything that I can to really amplify women's voices in commercial real estate.
I'm here for this. I'm here for this. I am all here for this. I'm excited. I think this is something we talk about all the time because I see it from the pipeline that comes in from the college front. There's always just 5 women in a class of 25 or 30, and they're not ever in the front. They're in the middle or the back of the classroom. They do exceptional, fantastic work. I never have to worry about the female students in my class, but they are not usually the ones to put themselves out there, toot their horn. So I think this is an amazing platform to just change that, to also just provide a space to amplify that. I think you're just great for doing it because you've not only been doing it all this time anyways, but you have a very real story around why it is personal and why to you. So I think this is going to be awesome. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Okay, Marissa, it's your turn.
I was going to say, I also am excited. It's been such a pleasure to work with Allison and with you, Garland, and bring your projects to life. And I think that's really what I'm looking for manifesting more of in 2025. In 2024, I started the year off not knowing if I was going to have a job. I was like saved, quote unquote, from that round of layoffs, but ended up being impacted by another round of layoffs later in the year. So I was at this place where I'm like, okay, what do I want to do now? And the thought of going back into corporate, I do need to pay my bills and I do need health insurance and stuff like that. It's not really lighting me up, as they say. It's not something that is aligning with who I am now. And I don't know if it ever did. I never felt like I really belonged in that environment. So I took the opportunity to just explore. And that's where Garland was like, hey, do you want to help me with this? And introduced me to Allison. I've been able to help you both with these projects, and I would love to help other people with these projects. I want the skills that I learned in tech, in VR, in nonprofits, in just working at a museum, at all of these places to really help people make what they want to see in the world come to life, and also do that with in community with other people. So it's been really great to see. I've gained so much confidence and reflection just by being in community with the two of you, because you're like, you guys, Marissa, you can do this. Like, this is the thing. Like, you're doing it. And I'm like, oh, I am doing it. Oh, look at that. So I think that's another big goal of mine, is to just be open to community and connection around the building of this, and not have, to your point earlier, Garland, just not have a set outcome. I know, like, all of the business advice is you have to niche down and you have to find your niche and you have to do this. I'm not going to close my doors to anyone who doesn't fit a particular. I'm sorry, I only help writers. No, I will help whoever needs the skills that I have. I'm open to doing that and seeing what comes from that. And of course, putting out more podcasts. That's always a thing that I'm looking to manifest. So that hopefully will be my 2025.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to toot everybody's horn on here because y'all are the best. Marissa, I can tell you, I would not have this platform at this moment if I did not reach out and touch and call and be like, hey, I need help. And just everything, I think, in working together with both of you over the time and years, Allison, you and I on these phone calls, just talking to me as I go to see students at USC.
Those are my favorite columns.
All of the so it's been, I wanted to have this call with you. I wanted to bring this towards us because this is what community feels like. It feels like people who have your best interest in mind. They also support you. They also want to see you do well. It also, I think women also get this bad rap of being, I don't know, competitive or catty, or I don't know what is the narrative that's not really a real narrative for all of us. And so I think this, for me, wanting to do today was like, what does reimagining community look like with women? What does reimagining community look like when everyone's working like in their thing and are able to do that together? I know that you all are also big on like other things. So whether that's a book club, whether that's an affinity, whether that's a board, everyone's got things that they're doing. So what are the other places that you, I think, are sharing community with other people? Would love to hear more about that.
One place is here for me. One place is here. I also last year joined a writing group where they do co-writes. They do co-writing, and co-working is really something that I've seen be really beneficial for me. So I'm seeking out more of those opportunities. I'm still in that writing group. I came to that group thinking I'm just gonna write like my little blog about television, which I did, and I still do, but it then just compounded into all of this creativity. So I really would like to see that continue going. I also started a book club of my own called the Solidarity Shelf. And it is where you take like books, like right now we're reading The 100 Years War on Palestine, which is a very dense book. And so many people in my friend Talisha hosts the Solidarity Study Circle where you can come and just do whatever social justice studying you need to do. But everyone had this book. And I was like, we're not reading this book. Everyone has the book, but we're not reading the book. So I was like, we're going to take a quarter of time and we're going to put this on the calendar. We're going to read, we're going to do stuff asynchronously and also live. That has been helpful in a way for me to be like more in a leadership position in the community, because I think that's important for me to remain in touch with those skills. So those are the places. Oh, also, I became like a member of my local arboretum, which I'm really excited about. So I'm like gonna go spend time with trees. We'll see what the trees have to say.
I love
Oh
that.
my gosh. First of all, I think it's so funny that we all know each other very well, and I'm like learning new things, and I'm so excited to have side quests and side conversations about some of these things with you. I also love books. I also just want to actually go back for a second and toot your horn, Garland, because when I think of community, I think of you, and you are, I just got goosebumps when I said that. You are such a special person, and you have such a unique quality of seeing the best in people and also helping them to see it in themselves.
So
And also too, to see the potential of people and groups, and to help people get closer to that potential and groups get back on track to achieving what their goals are. And I know you've done that with AREP, the African American Real Estate Professionals Group in LA. And it's just been stunning to watch and so cool to be your friend and to watch that transformation. So Garland, I'm president of your fan club for life and just so proud of you. And I love this podcast. Other things that I'm doing, I feel like I could talk about Walt Hollow, which is something that I'm working on. So I am 4 years, more than 4 years, a little over 4 years into this journey of being a digital nomad. So in October of 2020, left LA and gave up 95% of my things and just started traveling. And I said, I'll stop when it's no longer fun. 6 months later, I didn't want to stop, and it was still fun, but it needed to change because you couldn't find Airbnbs. And so in March of 2021, I traded my car in for a truck, and I got a small trailer, a little teardrop, and started traveling around the country in that. And so I did that for 4 years, and then for health reasons, decided I needed a home base, and also was starting to feel like I was ready to make that transition. My favorite joke is that the digital nomad to working the land pipeline is real. And I fell into it apparently, and I found some land here in Middle Tennessee and bought 7 acres. So I am in the process. Initially, I thought, oh, I just want a homestead. I just want some land and some animals and some trees. And I want to be that crazy witch in the woods in a little cottage that all the kids tell ghost stories about. Like that's my next phase of life, is the hermit or the crone. That's where I'm going with all my old lady habits like knitting. And instead, I realized what I really wanted was to create this place of sanctuary. So when I was a kid, I moved around and I think I lived 13 different places before I turned 15. And one of the places, the only places that I ever felt peace and I could really be who I was when I was with horses and when I was on the farm. And so for me, I think about the things that I've been through in my life. I think about some of the challenges and things that I've experienced. And I thought, what if I created this place where people could come and experience nature, could be in community with each other, could reconnect women and kids and make a place for community that was really safe, but also very grounded in this beautiful natural setting with animals, with plants, and all of that. So I am in the process of doing that as well. This will be probably something, Marissa, you and I also work on together and talk about. And yeah, that's the biggest thing for me in 2025 is bringing that to fruition. And so that I'm very excited about. I'm very passionate about that. And the next steps really are to do, the tactical things like electricity or solar, digging a well, all of that real estate kind of development, which is foreign to me, but also a great learning opportunity.
Wow, Walt Hollow.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I'm in Santa Barbara right now. I went to the botanical gardens and I was walking around there and thinking about you. I'm a botanical gardens person. Another fun fact, Garland Fuller loves a botanical garden. Mendocino has a great one. South Coast is a great one. I've been to my arboretum as well lately. I love a garden because you see all of these plants. You get to understand which kinds grow in different environments. There is an analogy there for people as well. And so it's so important, I think, to find the things that are meaningful for you. So I'm excited. Like at some point, I will be coming to visit.
Yes.
Okay. I don't even know what I'm going to be doing because I know nothing about farming either, but I can find people.
There we go. We'll learn together.
All I'm thinking is we
Um,
need to make this into like we need to do a YouTube video of the situation.
Yes.
Like
That's happening.
that's
It's
where
happening.
I'm like, I'll be there. I'll capture it.
yeah, so cool. Gosh. So you mentioned AREP-LA, which is definitely one of the communities that I am a part of. And I think not only feel very excited about being a part of, but just I've moved into another role with them where I'm on the executive board now. So I get to see and do more from an executive level, which is exciting. Other communities I'm a part of, I feel like the one that I'm building for the membership community that I'm building, Community Impact Collective, is really the heart and soul of what my year is going to be because I've been good at building community, whether it's ERGs in corporate spaces, whether it's nonprofit trade organizations, whether it's my daughter's school affinity space. I definitely want to take a lot of the learnings that I have had over these years and provide those who are also in the community making, the community building, working with people who are like trying to solve social impact issues in the world, whether that's in again, arts space, whether it's in a creative space, a nonprofit space. For me, I'm not yet niching down either. I feel like we'll see who comes. And then if they say we actually want it in these three types of areas, then we're going to do it in those three types of areas. But for now, we're very much of a come come and see. Let's see what we can do together because I do strongly believe in doing things in community with people because it just makes it not feel so overwhelming, isolating, also empowering. We can do
Mm-hmm.
this, y'all. We can do it.
Yes.
So that is where a lot of my energy is going to be in 2025. I am fascinated with this concept of third spaces. I am in love with this idea of getting people to say yes to something and not
Yes.
feel like it's too much. And so that's where my energy is. So
Love
we're,
it.
com- we're coming to closing. I have a question that I ask everybody, which is how are you reimagining your place in the community today? But we're going to change this up a little bit for how are you imagining your place in 2025?
Mm. So I will go first and say that I'm a person who's had to reinvent and reimagine myself millions of times, not millions of times, many times as I move. And now I find myself in a brand new community and I'm thinking about how to, using all of the things that I've learned over the last several years, how to more quickly find my people. And I love to, Marissa, you mentioning you joining the Arboretum. I think I'm going to join the Historical Society. I'm a big history buff. I'm also creating small events for women in commercial real estate in Nashville, which is the next largest city that I'm close to. So I think for me, it's about finding my people in this part of the world and building those relationships and doing it in a way that's very intentional, where I'm not repeating, I'm not over committing and not able to go deep. I would rather very carefully select different groups, different people, and go deep as opposed to go wide.
I love that.
I'm in a
All right.
similar space, and not because I have moved or done anything fun and exciting like that. I have just isolated myself a lot in many ways. Like I've been working remote since 2018, so I haven't had an office situation, and even when I would go to an office, it wasn't exactly welcoming. I still
Yeah.
felt isolated when I was there. So I have that isolation, but I've also had a lot of friendships fall away. I've had a lot of relationships change. And so I think what I think or where I see myself in 2025 is just showing up again, like coming out of hibernation and showing up. And I know, Garland, I know you said this on one of the podcasts, I think the first podcast, like, how can people find you if you're not out, if you're not out there?
Yeah.
So I think that's where I see myself in 2025, posting a lot of content, like not really caring about the perfection of it all, letting go of the perfection
Release.
of it. Yes. Yeah, definitely. Because I think there's a whole thing to be said about like how AI will make everything look perfect and how that could be a good content strategy, but it's also a good personal thing for myself to go through and just put stuff out, just publish, and not necessarily care too much about it. I'll give it one go through. I don't need to give it 10 different revisions before I publish something for myself. Showing up and publishing is where I see myself in 2025.
Oh,
I
okay.
love it.
Okay, let me see. What about me? How am I reimagining my place in 2025? The thing that I think about the most this year is like when you create or hold space for people, it is a lot of trying to find the middle ground and the bridges and the places where things meet. I think we are so used to everyone having to agree on everything. And I really, for me, 2025 is about meeting people in the middle or meeting people where they are and helping reframe. So a lot of, for me, reimagining things, it's like, how can we think about this differently and reframe this differently? Like it's not, everything's not all or nothing. Some things are all or nothing. Yes.
Yeah.
Some fundamental things are all or nothing. Like someone's humanity and civil rights is not a halfway thing. But you like it green, I like it blue. That's okay. Like we can like different things. So that's for me, I think a big part of just finding the meeting in the middle, the Venn diagrams. Like I think about the circles of my logo, and it's we just get into that spaces where we overlap. Just find those spaces we overlap. That's I think what it's about. What's the song that will be your theme song for 2025?
Defying Gravity from Wicked.
Ooh.
It's the song of my like college time, like when it first came out. I was really into, but I feel like this resurgence of it with the movie coming out, and I was like, yeah, it's time for me to stop thinking about limits and leaving that type of thing behind. So Defying Gravity for me.
Okay, I'm forgetting the name of the song and I'm just Googling it. Oh, This Is Me from The Greatest Showman.
Oh, good one.
Obsessed. Obsessed. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a strong one. That's strong. Those are both very strong songs. Oh my goodness. So since we're going with the women like based musical stuff, the one that just popped up in my mind was Show Yourself. Step into your power.
Yes.
I love that song every time I hear it from Frozen. That's right.
Oh God.
Frozen 2. It's when I watched that movie, I was like, oh my gosh. And then when you just hear the song by itself, no visuals, and you can actually hear what she's saying.
Yeah.
Just step into your power, girl. Just do your thing. This is it. You are the one you've been waiting for all of your life. It's a thing.
I love this for us. These are all great songs.
This is it.
So good. So good.
So I am going to put everyone's information in the show notes. If you are also having some 2025 goals, let me know in the comments if there are some practices or some things that you're doing that you're like, I do this, it works for me. There's a planner you love, or there's a song that you are like, this is my 2025 song. Let me know, because I feel like we're going to do this year. This is our year. Yeah. All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
This has been fantastic. I appreciate you all so much for being here.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
If this conversation moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because every week we're bringing you more stories of real transformation. Drop a comment, share your thoughts, and tag the folks in your circle who need to hear this. Want to go deeper? Check out the Community Impact Collective. Sign up for my newsletter. The link is in the description. Now is the time. Are you in?